All right, the mailman brought us some cool packages for the Dodge. I don't know if you remember or not, but the last couple videos on this project, I've got the axle underneath the truck, got the coil springs in place. Everything's just kind of sitting there, looking in good shape. So now, I'm going to show you what I've got in these boxes. It's a beautiful day in Mid-Coast, Maine, about 70 degrees, September. Can't beat that. Let's get working on this Dodge. All right, so the first package is this track bar, and that's the information on it. I believe we sourced these parts online. This one is supposed to be an all-adjustable track bar. Looks like some sleeves, maybe to adapt it, but wow, pretty heavy. Looks pretty nice. Let's look at the size of that. Put some anti-seize on there just because that stuff is awesome. Alright, that way we can always adjust this thing. I'm going to do this end as well. Overall, I'm really impressed with the thickness and the build of this track bar. As you can see beside the original, this thing is even more substantial than the original one. That's pretty impressive. Hopefully it holds up as good. I think it will. Oh, golly. I did have to extend it just a little bit to get that to line up, but that looks pretty sharp under there. Looks real beefy. I think that'll do all right. This is the original tie rod setup, and this is what they would call a Y steering system. So basically the drag link, this is where it attaches to the pitman arm, goes all the way to the spindle and it turns into a tie rod. And then the other tie rod bolts into the middle, kind of this funky Y system is what they call it. So anyway, we're going to convert ours over to a T style, which instead of having this joint here, it's going to be from one spindle all the way to the other spindle, one piece, and then the drag link's going to bolt into the center. So these are the tie rods that we're going to use. This is an updated assembly. So these would have fit a 2009. Cool, these come pre-assembled. Sorry about that shadow, guys. These come pre-assembled. Oh good, they've also got the steering dampener already set up on there. So this should be relatively easy to install. I'm going to try to put some anti-seize on all the joints. But as you can see, there's one piece that's going to connect the two spindles, and then there's a drag link that attaches to it. This is a far superior way of steering these trucks. You don't get a lot of the shudder and the shake at high speeds. Plus, these are quite a fair bit beefier than the originals. I guess we're just supposed to use the old nuts over, because this box didn't contain any new hardware. That's kind of obnoxious. So I'll have to see if I saved the other pieces. I believe I did. How would they not send any nuts? That just... that's irritating. We'll see. That's just so irritating. You spend all this money on these parts and they can't even give you 3 nuts. So I had to reuse the drag link nut that bolts to the pitman arm, and also these mismatched tie rod nuts. It's like, come on, really? Maybe this package, I don't know, there's some damage here. Maybe someone's been into this thing before, who knows? One of those things. Just gotta keep on rolling. Tie rods went on pretty darn nice. I'm gonna leave all of these sleeves loose. I don't really know where this thing's gonna need to be as far as the lining goes. So I'm just gonna leave some of this stuff loose until I can get some good measurements on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo the front drive shaft yoke. We're going to try to get that drive shaft slid back in. So here's the front portion of the drive shaft. It doesn't look damaged at all. I think if I can just get all that dirt that's been caked in there, I'll get that all out and I'll get that cleaned up. We'll check the other end of the drive shaft. So I got some brake clean out here and I clean that shaft up and it looks okay. The Teflon is kind of beat up, but I think we're going to try it anyway. So that's the drive shaft, and it's kind of wedged in a weird spot. I'm going to have to get a little creative to get that out of there without hurting the drive shaft. So the drive shaft is actually wedged underneath the cab, and it's creating a gap underneath that cab mount. I mean, there's some serious tension on there. Alright, I've got the floor jack underneath the cab. I'm going to try to lift the cab up to gain some clearance for that drive shaft. Almost, just sitting on that brake line. Whenever the truck rolled over, it must have, there. It must have got wedged up underneath there. Wow. Cab actually sitting back down where it should be. I'd say that cab mount is pretty roached. I'd say that was pretty lucky. That drive shaft doesn't even have a dent in it, just a little bit of scuffed paint. Cool. So whenever you line up the drive shafts, the part that doesn't move, the yoke of that drive shaft, has to be on the same plane as the part that doesn't move on the other end of the drive shaft. So you got to make sure you get those lined up perfectly, otherwise you could have some pretty funky driveline vibrations. So what you can do, you can take and sight down that drive shaft and make sure the caps of the U-joints are completely lined up with the other end. Alright, so I was able to get that drive shaft back in. I think that'll work alright. Alright, so made quite a bit of progress. Got the front end back together. It's pretty much under the truck. It's sound. It's not going anywhere. It's not adjusted, mind you, but it's there. So now I've got to order a few more parts before we can keep rolling. I do have, however, shocks that I got to put in with the new shock towers. I do have a dual steering stabilizer set up for it. However, I got to order a few more things, like this ABS line got ripped off. I need that. I need flex lines for the brakes, both front. Got a few more things I got to order, but this thing's coming together pretty good. It's going to be able to roll here pretty soon on its own wheels. That'll be kind of cool to see. So I've got this upper control arm bolt tight, so I was able to get the exhaust back in place. So that's all installed and all good to go now. Again, I've got to get a few parts for this. I got to get the flex lines kind of broke clean off. They would have went here. So I got to get new flex lines. See, this ABS sensor actually just got unplugged, which is nice. And I should be able to just plug the two back. Hopefully this ABS sensor is good still. So, ordered some a new rim. These are these Ion rims. They're actually pretty nice looking rims, but this one has just exceeded its mechanical abilities. So, we bought a new rim, and also this tire is pretty much garbage. But I think this rim is savable, so we're gonna try to reuse these, well, this rim anyway, with a new rim and two brand new tires. So I'm gonna drop these off at the tire shop and I'll let them do that. So check it out, guys. Brand new tires. Now this is the new rim, this one here. Just want to show you guys how much weight it took to balance this rim. Quite a bit of weight. Those are 2 ounces a piece. So 2, 4, 6, 8 ounces of weight to balance that one out. This is the old rim that we salvaged. 4 ounces. Isn't that crazy? But that's not all in the rim. That probably is in the tire as well. So it could be this tire is just a little out of shape. So anyway, we got some new tires for the old girl. Those look nice on there.